Can't Up Queen gets the job done here in the third for Hayden Ballantyne and Lucy Fiore. A race-to-race double for Lucy. She's riding in tremendous form as we head into now the first leg of the quaddie here, Michael. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of value in your best bet of the day, we'll be honest. It was $2.70 into $1.28. I think $1.32 on jumping, but great result for those punters who did get on. Now, quaddie time. How are we seeing things play out in the quaddie? Have we got a little bit more value for the rest of today's program?
Well, my other best bet of the day, Tessa, was Sure Thing, who goes around in this race and was $2.10 at last check, so there's not much value, not much meat on the bone there either. But I do have a couple of horses that I would throw into this leg from a value perspective. Famo or from the Helen Harding stable around double figures, and also my boy Chris, who is also from the Helen Harding stable, $10.23. I reckon just chuck them in your quaddies. I'm expecting both of those horses to go better today, but it did look Sure Thing's race in my opinion.
Really nice horse too from the David Smith yard. Kyra Yuill stick. She knows the horse exceptionally well as well, and looks like you said a really hard race to I guess knock for Sure Thing. But how do we see things from a speed perspective playing out here?
I thought Sure Thing could lead, but there is a lot of speed engaged here. I was somewhat pleased with Love Drunk Baby scratching this morning, because this horse went really fast last start and had drawn underneath Sure Thing. But with that scratching today, I think that is really good for Sure Thing, because all of a sudden he can probably lead a little bit easier. There still is a lot of pace drawn to his outside, but he's pretty fast, Sure Thing. I think his form lines are super. He was 6 weeks between runs last start. Thought it was a great run to a pretty nice horse when just tiring late. And today, with that run under the belt, I think he can be very, very hard to beat, leading all of the way.
Horses are entering the yard now ahead of the first leg of the quaddie. The Lakes Electric Handicap, the 58 plus over the 1100. The first galloper we preview is Dreamtime Jean. Hayden Ballantyne looking for a race-to-race double. Chanel Cooper takes the ride.
Yes, this horse has been to Kalgoorlie 5 times as well for 3 wins, so he profiles really well. He's first up here today, and he won first up last preparation. That was in a Class 3 at Bunbury, and his last 3 starts before his spell were all in higher grade than what he faces here, so he's really well placed by Hayden Ballantyne. He'll jump from 6 of 8 after scratchings, but I still thought that was potentially an awkward draw for him, because you have Sure Thing drawn barrier 3, you have Chad's Me Dad drawn barrier 5, you have Blue Talk drawn barrier 4 as well. I still thought Dreamtime Jane is likely to have to work in the run and could potentially be vulnerable late.
Love Drunk Baby, the 2 is a scratching, so we move on to the current favourite, $2 for number 3, Sure Thing, David Smith and Kyra Yuill.
Won his first 3 starts in WA after crossing from the east. He won his maiden by 5.5. He won second up by 3 lengths. He won his next start by 1.5 lengths. He was then tested at Saturday level at Ascot. He ran 4th, beaten 3 lengths in a really good run after settling in the breeze and sticking on nicely. The horse he finished 1.5 lengths off, Nobility, then went bang bang, won a graduation on a Saturday, then a 66 plus on a Saturday. So it was brilliant form for Sure Thing. He was 6 weeks between runs, freshened up before his last start here at Kalgoorlie. He found the front, he kicked clear under the 59 kilos. He looked the winner, but he bumped into a highly informed Troublemaker who won her second race in a row and started a really well supported favourite in yesterday's provincial final feature, but unfortunately pulled up lame after that race, so she was below her best. But I still think the form lines are strong. I think this horse finds the front today, and I think he's really, really hard to beat.
Looks a Sure Thing for sure here in the first leg of the quaddie. The 4 is Blue Can Talk, Neil Della and Natika Riordan.
First up this preparation, has won first up previously, but has never won at Kalgoorlie. Has placed from 2 of 6 though, and had a really consistent preparation when last in work at Esperance. You'd think this horse would be in the first 3 or 4, usually settles on speed. If she's not outside leader, she's probably 1 out 1 back, enjoying a lovely run.
The 5 is Famo, freshened here today, Helen Harding and Zephyr Johnson Porter.
First up this preparation, I think he's worth including. He was a newcomer to Helen's yard through the tail end of last preparation, but first up last prep he ran 5th in a Class 3 at Pinjarra, and he has won 2 of his 4 starts first up with another minor placing. He's won 2 of 5 over 1,100 metres, and he gets in quite well from a ratings perspective and from a weights perspective after Zephyr Johnson Porter's claim. The bandages do go on the front here, but seeing he is a proven fresh horse, I thought he was worth including in the quad. He hasn't quite made my first 4 here for the race, but I do think he can run a cheeky race.
The next runner to preview is the 6 Kelly's Lisa Lou, David Smith and Kesha Duran.
5th start this campaign for this Universal Ruler mare. Has loomed and peaked in her last 2 starts. She's run quite quick 600 to the 200 both starts, but then just appeared to peak on her runs late. So I like the fact that David Smith has brought her back to 1,100 metres. She's won over this distance previously. She ran well over this distance earlier in her campaign. I think she could be an improver with a 200-metre drop in trip.
7 is Chad's Me Dad, Paul Tapper, Chris Nickel.
Fourth up this preparation is racing 20 points, raced 20 points outside the handicap last start in a 70-plus race. Today, still races 8 points outside the handicap, so poorly weighted, all things considered. The pre-race earmarks do go on and would have to improve from the form this time in.
The 8th, third start this preparation is Dreambrook, Peter Fernie, Lucy Fury.
Yes, third start this time in and has hit the ground running as well. One first up in a Class 1 over 1,200 metres, defeating Pure Quality. Then second up was a bit keen in the run over the same distance. Was only beaten a length and a quarter, though, by Troublemaker, who then backed up a week later and won impressively, defeating Sure Thing, who's the short-priced favourite here. So the form lines are good for Dreambrook. While she goes from a Class 1 to a Class 2 and now rises to a 58+, she drops 2 kilos with senior rider Lucy Fiore taking the ride from an apprentice. So she ticks a lot of boxes here. She looks progressive enough. I think she's the main danger to Sure Thing.
And the 9 is My Boy Chris, Helen Harding, and Ava Caterino replaces Rocky Chong.
I'm going to throw this horse into my top 4. I think he's an improver today. I think he runs a cheeky race at a big price. He's 3.5 weeks between runs. He backed up off 7 days last start. He hasn't won a race in nearly 500 days, but he drops a stack in weight from recent efforts. He only carries 51 kilos here. If he had have been facing Love Drunk Baby today, he would have, if Love Drunk Baby wasn't a scratch, he would have met that horse 9 kilos better at the weights. Freshened up, back in trip. I just think at $20+, he's worth including in your first 4s and quaddies.
Well, if we're looking at value here for bets and on-toppers, may not be again here in the first leg of the quaddie. Sure Thing is $1.80 now, Michael. Opened at $3.20 this morning. And Dreambrook on the second line of betting at $3.30. Dreamtime Jean on the third line, $3.70 out to $8.50. Blue Can Talk, $16 into $8. There's a bit of interest there for the first up Galloper. Famo is $12 out to $17. Kelly's Lisa Lou is $51 into $31. My Boy Chris now also $31 potentially in each way bet there. Chad's Me Dad, the outsider at $51. How are we seeing things play out here in the first leg of the quaddie?
A lot of speed here, Tessa, but I think the fastest of them is Sure Thing, and I think he can lead all of the way despite the pace that's in the race. Dreamtime Jean would go forward. You'd expect Blue Can Talk to go forward, also Chad's Me Dad. So there is plenty of pace in this race. But I like the fact that Love Drunk Baby's come out because he is very, very fast and he's led his races running so far this preparation. They've all been well above benchmark in really high tempo races. No Love Drunk Baby now, so I think this sets up really well for Sure Thing to lead all of the way. So I'll go his way. He was my second best bet of the day pre-meeting today, but he has been really well supported like the previous one, $1.80, so he is into the red now, which is a little concern from a punting point of view, but I'm expecting him to get the job done. 3, 8, 1 and 9. He won 3 from 3 in WA at Esperance before going to Ascot, where he ran a really game 4th in a graduation on the Saturday. Good format of that race with nobility since winning at 2 races, including a 66+. Freshened up last start, 6 weeks between runs. He looked the winner under the 59 kilos, but Troublemaker with a 6.5 kilo pull on him just got over the top of him late, and that mare was absolutely flying at the time. So I think with that run under his belt, Sure Thing should be really hard to beat. From 8, Dreambrook as the main danger. She's up in class, but I think she's progressive enough to measure up. Lucy Fiore takes over from an apprentice. Good form lines around her. 1, Dreamtime Jean, well placed back at Kalgoorlie. 3 of his 4 wins have been here at Kalgoorlie. He's won 3 from 5 at the track. Just a sticky gate because there are 4 horses on speed typically in this race, and he's drawn the furthest outside of them. So this could be a bit of a sticky mat for him. And 9 in My Boy Chris is my blowout hope. He's really well weighted after the claim of Avocado Reno here. And I didn't think he's been too bad in some of his runs this preparation. 3, 8, 1 and 9.
3, 8, 1 and 9 here for Michael. The first leg of the quaddie at the Kalgoorlie Boulder Racing Club on this tremendous Sunday afternoon. The weather is absolutely turning it on. It's a beautiful, picturesque day here at the CBRC. The Lakes Electrical Handicap, the 58 plus over the 1100 metres. Michael's putting Sure Thing on top, hopefully going back to that extremely impressive winning form held at Esperance Bay in the recent season. Now $1.75, opened at $3.20 in the market, so there's plenty of support here and continuing to shorten. Runners are behind the barriers in the hands of the starter now, so we'll hand you upstairs to Royce to call us home.
Third. Okay, Blue Can Talk coming forward. My boy Chris. Still a couple to come forward. For those on course, the Colts and Fillies memberships are available today in the Sportsman's Bar. And if you sign up today, you can have a free cocktail with it. So $100, and that will get you into every one of our meetings this year. So going forward now, Chad's Me Dad. Kelly's Liza Lou in the black cap. So we're just working on for Mo and Dreamtime Jean. So for Mo to come forward. Haven't seen this horse since the 2nd of March. And the toppy, Dreamtime Jean, to come forward and complete the line. The Ballantine stable already with a winner today. An impressive winner too. Can't Up Queen in the maiden. Stand by, we're set for the short course. 1,100 metres ahead of them. The signal given. And the gates fly back. They're off racing now. Kelly's Liza Lou stood there and missed the kick. Going back early on, Chad's Me Dad, together with also My Boy Chris with early speed. It's Sure Thing going to the front, but Blue Can Talk trying to take it on around the outside, pulling hard. They were followed next of all. Down on the inside, Dreambrook getting into a nice position. The outside then we had for Mo. A further 2 lengths to Chad's Me Dad in company with Dreamtime Jean. And a further 2.5 lengths to My Boy Chris covering up Kelly's Liza Lou. 600 metres to run, and it's Sure Thing for Yuill out in front, shows out a length. Running second, Blue Can Talk, settled better now. They were followed next of all by Dreambrook, third the fence, followed by For Mo. A further 2 lengths to Chad's Me Dad, Dreamtime Jean. Well back then we had Kelly's Liza Lou together with My Boy Chris. It's Sure Thing nursed into the straight, now asked to quicken. The outside Blue Can Talk trying to pick up again. Then we had Dreambrook trying to get into the clear. They were followed by For Mo heading the remainder, but it's all Sure Thing with 100 metres to run. Sure Thing out by 3. Blue Can Talk running on, but Sure Thing is a sure thing. Goes on and wins easy. Justifies the 175. Blue Can Talk second. Third in we had Dreambrook. They were followed by Dreamtime Jean. Followed next of all by Kelly's Liza Lou, My Boy Chris, For Mo well back, and last to greet the judge was Chad's Me Dad. Well, number 3, Sure Thing. Over the 1,100 metres, this horse is very, very hard to beat. Beautiful barrier today, barrier 3, jumped. Had to absorb a little bit of pressure from Blue Can Talk, the outside, who was really pulling quite hard in the early stages. He's run a handy race too, Blue Can Talk, finished second. 8 gets third, that's Dreambrook, who sat behind the leader but couldn't match the turn of acceleration come the top of the straight. And the toppy, Dreamtime Jean, will get 4th. 2 1/4 by a length. 3, 4, 8 and 1. Sure Thing by Akeed Mafeed from Lalani, owned by Dave Smith and also Shannon Anthony. Sure Thing, Kyra Yuill in the saddle for trainer Dave Smith. 4 second, Blue Can Talk, Nil Della, Natika Riordan by I'm All The Talk from Hallowell Lane, owned by Miss J Williamson. Third in is the 8, that's Dreambrook for Pete Fernie, Lucy Fiore. By Piero from Mystical Dream, owned by Andrew Ingalls, Annabelle Ingalls, Terry Topham, also Miss A Topham, G Bowden and Mrs K Bowden. And 4th in is the 1, Dreamtime Jean for Hayden Ballantine and Chanel Cooper. That was a sprinting masterclass. In the 4th, Sure Thing, your winner. Race 5 is next, the NLC Engineering Handicap, coming up at 3:15. In the meantime, let's head down to the yard.
Thanks, Royce. I'm joined with a very happy David Smith. Back to that winning form. He's a really, really nice horse. David here must be wrapped for the performance.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, good to see him, come back and after that first up performance, and probably just found him out being first, after a freshen up and 1,200, but back to 1,100 today, and he showed a bit of class.
Kira's got a really nice association with the horse as well and rode an absolute treat. Where do we look to now? To step back over some more ground?
Would definitely like to step him up in distance as the progresses in his races, and see if he can get a 1,400, and maybe, as you say, look at a Hannons or something like that, but that's a pipe dream, yeah.
Well, I think on this track at the moment and how things are going, Hannons doesn't look out of the picture at all. Really impressive win today and exciting times ahead. Do we look to give a little bit of a rest? Obviously racing next Sunday, so where to next?
Probably not next week, the week later. Yeah, probably go to 70 plus now and see how it goes, and a couple more and you probably have another little break.
Best of luck. Hopefully a Hannon's in the making. Congratulations here.
Can always dream.
There's David Smith. Great to see back in the winning form here. Sure thing. It was a sure thing in the opening leg of the quaddie, Michael. Another one of your tips, so your second best of the day coming in, and Kyra Yuill's got a fantastic association with this horse.
Easy watch, wasn't it, for those aboard at the good price. Won by 2 1/4 is the official margin, with a further length back to third. Kyra Yuill's built up a brilliant record aboard this horse. Has ridden him at his past 5 now, and now won 3 of those. Kyra, looks like you found a really nice horse here.
Yeah, definitely. Look, the other day he was obviously coming off a little let up and straight into the 1200, and you know, he was just a little bit chubby that last little bit, but nothing to worry, we can't win them all, and today he came out and put his best foot forward.
All Goldfielders dream of winning a Hannon's Handicap. This was over 1100 today, but he has ticked the 1200 box previously. What about a 1400 of the Hannon's?
Yeah, look, I've never won a Hannon's myself either, so I wouldn't mind going that way, but he's taking him through his grades really nice, and obviously before he got purchased, he ran over a trip and ran some nice races, so I'm hoping that he can sustain a run like that over the 13, 14, and he'll be really competitive in a Hannon's.
Exciting type, well done.
Thank you.
There's Kyra Yuill combining with David Smith and Sure Thing, going back to that impressive winning form from the Esperance Bay Turf Club earlier on in the year. Exciting times ahead for the stable, and Kyra hopefully would be a great story and a feel-good story if being able to go on to a Hannon's Handicap over the 1400 metres. Sure Thing takes out the Lakes Electrical Handicap over the 1100 metres, and as mentioned in the previous break, we had the mascot race take place, so make sure you check out our social media for such a great cause there.
$1,100 metres ahead of them. The signal given.